Right now at 9, protests continue across our nation following the controversial Supreme Court decision. Plus, local protests continue this weekend in southwest Missouri.
Several states moving quickly to outlaw abortion in the wake of the Supreme Court's decision. I'm Lucas Tomlinson in Washington. I'll have the details coming up.
The KOAM News at 9 starts right now. More demonstrations are being held across the country after the Supreme Court's landmark decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, including a local protest we will have more on later. Most rallies have been peaceful, but some turned violent at night, especially on the West Coast, where one man is being charged with trying to kill a police officer. Fox News correspondent Alexis McAdams is in New York City with more.
Throughout the weekend, demonstrations erupted across the nation. In most of the cities that had the biggest turnouts, abortion will remain illegal in those states. Most protests were peaceful, but that wasn't the case in Colorado. This pregnancy care center you're looking at is in Longmont, Colorado. It was vandalized and actually set on fire. Police are investigating the arson that happened less than 24 hours after the U.S. Supreme Court reversed federal protections of abortion. Graffiti reads there, "If abortions are not safe, neither are you."
That their lack of education too on what the resource center does. I think that just because they don't offer abortions doesn't mean that they're not helping women find the right choice for them.
Out in Portland, Oregon, hundreds protesting the Roe v. Wade decision. But just hours later, police say things took a violent turn. According to Portland police, several banks and coffee shops were broken into, a van belonging to the school district was damaged, and also a pregnancy resource center was vandalized. In Los Angeles, the LAPD made some arrests during protests downtown on Friday. The New York Post is reporting that a man has now been charged with attempted murder of an LA cop after investigators say the man threw fireworks and a makeshift blowtorch at the officer. On Saturday, protests in New York and Chicago, people filling those streets, voicing their opinions. Some say this is a big step in the right direction as pro-choice advocates pledge to fight back. On this map, you can see where each state stands now that the ruling has been overturned. It's important to note that most of the cities that had those large protests, like LA and New York, Portland and Chicago, will not have any changes to their abortion laws. There are pride events across the country that are continuing, though many of those conversations have been focused on this landmark decision. In New York, I'm Alexis McAdams, Fox News.
Protests continued locally over the weekend in Joplin today as well. Tonight on 7th and Range Line, a protest was held in response to the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. The group says they feel that basic human rights are being infringed upon and that this could lead to more rights being taken away.
Getting a lot of thumbs up. A lot of young people are pro our cause. I can see that they're happy that we're here and kind of surprised that we're here because this was kind of a spontaneous thing. I look at the turnout that we've gotten. We're very encouraged by that.
The group protested from 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. The trigger laws banning abortion are already taking effect in Missouri. In Arkansas, Attorney General Leslie Rutledge certified the trigger law, and they're already pending a signature in Oklahoma. In Kansas, voters will decide on August 2nd whether the state constitution protects the right to abortions. Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson says the state will expand adoption services to meet the needs of mothers. He also emphasizes that this is not a nationwide ban on abortion.
Every state is going to have the ability under the court decision to make its own decisions. Arkansas made its choice previous to that based upon the trigger law, and other states are going to make different decisions. This is fundamental, as the court said, in our democracy, that ultimately the people decide through their elected representatives.
Today, Missouri Governor Mike Parson tweeted, quote, "We want to thank all of the legislators, elected officials, community leaders, and advocates, past and present, who never lost faith in our important mission, protecting life and fighting for the unborn." A Miami, Oklahoma man has been sentenced to federal prison. Authorities sentenced 23-year-old Jace Williams for a 2017 attack that left the victim paralyzed from the neck down. Officials say Williams went behind the victim, wrapped his arms around the victim's body, lifted him backward, and slammed him headfirst onto the ground. The victim was rushed to a hospital with injuries which resulted in him being paralyzed. A U.S. district judge sentenced Williams to 51 months in prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release. Nick Kelly here with our first look at the weather. Nick, what should we be expecting this week?
Well, at the very least, Bella, we're going to start things off the way that we did today with nice temperatures. And the big question, of course, is how long we're going to hold on to these nice temperatures. Nice, in fact, that we started at 69 this morning and topped that at 82 degrees this afternoon. After we had the rain and thunderstorms late last night through this morning, we are seeing a lot calmer skies now, and certainly back on the cooler side of the jet, which forced that upper level ridge that kept us hot and downright humid for much of last week, down to the south and to the west of the region. That is allowing temperatures to drop back into the upper 60s and already lower 70s popping up on the board. These numbers, by the way, running a good 10 to almost 20 degrees cooler than where we were last night. So even though we got a lot of the cloud cover out there, I do think some breaks in the clouds will allow us, Bella, to drop back near 60 as we go into tomorrow morning, but looking great as the new work week begins tomorrow with highs at 81. We'll take a look at the rest of the week coming up here in a bit.
The impact of the Supreme Court's bombshell decision on abortion sent shockwaves across Washington and throughout the country. Conservatives are celebrating the decision as a victory for life, while progressives fear it could be the first of several dominoes to fall. This comes after one justice hinted that some other rights could soon come under scrutiny. Fox News correspondent Lucas Tomlinson has that story.
Legal abortion on demand!
As demonstrations continue across the country in response to the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, so-called trigger laws restricting or banning abortion are now set to go into effect in at least a dozen states.
As of today, abortions are illegal in our state, and they're only allowed to save the life of the mother.
Legal scholars say the ruling is one of the few times in history that the court has struck down an earlier decision establishing a constitutional right, one that Republicans argue was not envisioned by the founders.
There's nothing in the Constitution giving the federal government the right to regulate abortion. There's nothing in the Constitution that creates a right to abortion as a constitutional principle.
Democrats say the decision erodes medical freedom and will put women in danger.
This decision and this policy will kill people, and that's what the data shows, and that's what the statistics show.
Republicans have been quick to point out the ruling does not ban abortion nationwide.
Every state is going to have the ability under the court decision to make its own decisions.
Several companies have already announced plans to cover travel costs for employees who have to leave their home state to get an abortion, though these policies will likely face legal challenges. The ruling also fueling fears among progressives that other rights could be at risk, after Justice Clarence Thomas wrote in the concurring opinion that the court should also reconsider its 2015 decision legalizing same-sex marriage. In Washington, Lucas Tomlinson, Fox News.
We take this time now to honor one of our many four-state heroes. Franklin Badger served in the U.S. Navy from 2001 to 2017. His hometown is Columbus, Kansas. We're proud to recognize Staff Sergeant Franklin Badger, tonight's four-state hero. Remember to learn more about our other heroes or to nominate one of your own. Just head over to our website at koamnewsnow.com. Coming up, details about the correlation between teens and levels of exercise. A new study finds which age group is more likely to face discrimination. Analysts from the University of Michigan found older adults are more likely to experience some form of ageism. Researchers surveyed more than 2,000 people between 50 and 80 years old. They found that 93% of people experience at least one form of ageism daily. Health problems are one of the most common factors for discrimination. Scientists say people with poor mental health or physical health face discrimination every day. Teens aren't getting enough exercise, according to a new study. The University of Georgia surveyed 360,000 Georgia high school students and found that 3 out of 4 teens aren't getting enough healthy exercise. Girls were more likely to not exercise enough, getting 35% less than male classmates. The study says school environments can shape exercise frequency and dietary habits. A school's climate on social support, safety, and bullying can also affect exercise. Around 3,500 babies die in sleep-related incidents each year in the U.S., but many of those deaths can be prevented. The American Academy of Pediatrics has put out updated guidelines to help babies sleep safely. Mandy Gaither has more on the story.
For the first time in 6 years, the American Academy of Pediatrics has updated its safe sleep guidelines for babies.
There are lots of factors that play into the dangers.
The AAP says co-sleeping under any circumstances is not safe for infant sleep, whether it's on the couch or a bed.
We recognize sometimes you may unintentionally fall asleep with the baby. So I recommend that parents create kind of a safe sleep zone in the bed when they do this feeding, to move away the pillows, the loose bedding, things that could create that added risk.
Parents can also set alarms to help remind them to take their child back to the crib. The AAP says babies should sleep in the same room with their parents for at least 6 months separately on a firm, flat surface covered in a snug fitted sheet with no added bedding or bumpers.
You want to avoid anything that's soft, plush, or loose. Babies start to move around. We don't want things getting up over their heads. We don't want overheating. We don't want things to obstruct the nose and mouth that increase the risk of suffocation.
The AAP also warns against the use of commercial devices that claim to reduce the risk of SIDS or other sleep-related issues, including wearable monitors. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
New Consumer Product Safety Commission regulates that ban all products marketed for infant sleep that have more than a 10% incline. The AAP says keeping babies at large incline for long periods of time can be dangerous because babies' heads can fall forward during sleep, which puts them at risk for suffocation. Nick Kelly has a look at the forecast after the break. Plus details about possible relief on the baby formula shortage.
It is nice to see these numbers soar on downward after we had pretty much the hottest day of the summer season in the year so far. We had highs pushing up to 100 degrees the other day. Thankfully, the cold front lived up to its name, sent us tanking into the upper 60s this morning, and thankfully only rebounding into the lower 80s this afternoon. Not only did the front help us out with temperatures, which we gladly needed the break from the heat, it also gave us some rain and thunderstorms during the overnight. Even at times, there were a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings, but really nothing too severe coming out of those storms. What it did leave behind, though, at least for some of you, was accumulating rainfall. Area-wide, the average was about ½ an inch from last night's rain and thunderstorms, but needless to say, heavier pockets certainly on the southeast Kansas side. Fortunately, even though we still have some stubborn cloud cover to try and get rid of during the overnight, we're not seeing anything on the radar in terms of rain right now, and we can make doubly sure with a little fresh look from 7th and Range Line. Dry outside, 70 degrees with the north breeze at 7. Dew points, more importantly, back below 60. It is a more comfy air mass that will continue to allow temperatures to drop off throughout the course of the night. Right now, though, a lot of us are holding on to readings near 70 degrees, but bottom line, all these numbers are running about 10 to 20 degrees cooler than where we were on our warm Saturday evening just the other night. Let's widen out your picture here. Nothing around here, thankfully. We are now on the backside of a cold front that's well to the south and east of us now. We'll be glad to have high pressure in control to keep us quiet to start the new week out, the work week that is, and also keep temperatures in check. Plus, it also helps that the frontal system squashed this upper level ridge. It's weakening over northeastern Texas. We're on the cooler side of the jet while we're waiting to see when this upper level ridge out west will try to start heading our way. But thankfully, it is not tonight and it is not for tomorrow. We'll have to try our best again to get the cloud cover out of here throughout the course of the night. But I want to say partly cloudy skies by the morning hours, and then keeping things partly sunny and dry throughout the day tomorrow. In fact, overall, we're looking great temperature-wise with a light east breeze to start the day out and then becoming more out of the east and northeast, a little bit stronger at 5 to 15 miles per hour. But 60 in the morning, 77 by noon. We'll have highs topping out around 81. In fact, everybody will be topping out near 80 or around 81 degrees. A lot better temperature-wise. We'll certainly take it. Plus, we'll also take lows going back into the lower 60s again for Tuesday morning. That time, though, plenty of sunshine will send us back into the mid-80s. Still looking good, though, as we get into your Tuesday afternoon. Wednesday, We'll keep just barely in the 80s, but as we head toward Thursday, that upper ridge may not come on top of us, but it builds back in strong enough that 90s will start to return on Thursday. But we're dry still on Thursday. But then as we head toward the start of the holiday weekend, at least, you can see how right along the jet stream on top of the region, we can't rule out another system and some upper level waves. That's going to try, emphasis on try, to bring in some thunderstorm chances for the upcoming holiday weekend. I'm not looking at a washout by any means, but it's something that we'll still watch. In the meantime, though, Bella, we needed a break from the heat, and thankfully we're going to get it. 81 tomorrow, partly sunny skies, 84 on Tuesday, but then we have to head back near 90 by Wednesday and Thursday.
Great, so I don't have to cancel my picnic plans tomorrow.
No, and you can almost even open up the windows tonight. It's going to be kind of chilly compared to where we've been lately.
That'll be a great break from the heat. So we are now broadcasting from a temporary transmitter lower on the tower as we prepare to put the new, more powerful transmitter at the top. Our signal might be a little glitchy for some of you for the time being, but when this project is finished, we'll be broadcasting with more power than ever. Coming up, a Colorado restaurant solution to their staff shortage. More than 150,000 pounds of baby formula from Germany are now in the U.S. The shipment arrived Sunday morning in Houston. It's enough to provide formula for 1.5 million bottles. The shipment will now make its way to Nestle Distribution Center in Fort Worth, so it can be distributed to Target, Walmart, Kroger, and other retails across the United States. The Biden administration has been scrambling to address a nationwide shortage, partially triggered by the shutdown of the Abbott baby formula plant in Michigan. COVID-19 vaccine, which aims to better target the Omicron variant, is safe and effective. The pharmaceutical giant announcement comes just days before regulators debate whether to offer Americans updated booster shots this fall. 1,200 middle-aged and older adults who'd already had 3 vaccine doses took part in this study, and according to researchers, a month after they received its combo shot, participants had a 9 to 11-fold increase in Omicron-fighting antibodies. That's more than 1.5 times better than another dose of the original vaccine. The first full weekend of summer brought more frustration for air travelers. More than 730 flights were canceled across the U.S. on Sunday, according to the website FlightAware. Delta Airlines and its Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson International Hub were the most affected. Delta blamed higher than expected employee absences, weather, and air traffic control restrictions. United Airlines canceled more than 70 flights, and American Airlines canceled 66. A Colorado restaurant has a futuristic solution to its labor shortage problem, a robot server. But this technology isn't meant to replace people, just give them an assistant when things get busy. Micah Smith reports.
The bar is packed. Avs fans are pumped, but there aren't enough servers to keep the good times rolling.
If you're not at the game, you want to be here.
Enter the robot server at Tom's Watch Bar in McGregor Square.
It's completely different than what we have here in the U.S.
Tom's Watch Bar operating partner Rafik Turkanovich says it may not look like much, but this robot can do quite a bit.
Definitely capable of going from one station to the next, delivering dishes, delivering food if necessary, and then going back to its home station.
Turkanovich says, like many restaurants throughout the city, they're having a tough time finding workers. When you add in the amount of Stanley Cup business the restaurant's been getting, they need help.
We did this just to help alleviate some of the labor pressure.
So on standing room only days at the restaurant, the robot will be put to work.
We have pretty strict ADA regulations, and that robot essentially follows that lane, right, and it has great maneuvering capabilities.
Turkanovich says the robot isn't a cost-saving measure and won't replace human servers.
Not saving money, but to help our employees.
So the next time the Avs score, those celebratory drinks or eats may come courtesy of Tom's Watch Bar's newest employee.
The helpful robot doesn't have a name yet, something employees are working on changing. After the break, a look at a new whiskey that may make you feel a little crabby. A crustacean bottling up New England's coastal ecosystem gets turned into a beverage as a solution. Tamworth Distilling of New Hampshire made the Crab Trapper, a green crab-flavored whiskey. The drink is a partial cure to find use for the state's invasive, pesky green crabs, making a wreck of coastal areas. The crustacean can eat as many as 50 clams and oysters a day. The crab whiskey is a modified sour mash combined with green crab stock and costs $65. That's a wrap for the first half of the show. Coming up, bicyclists visit a southeast Kansas town. We'll tell you why. Right now at 9, some bikelists riding across the country visit southeast Kansas. We'll have the details. Plus details about the G7 summit Biden attended and what plans were set in place. And more on the crisis in Ukraine following a Russian attack on Kyiv. The KOAM News at 9 continues right now. Thank you for joining us for the second half of the hour. I'm Bella Line. 15 cyclists with the U.S. for MS organization are making their way across the country over the next 2 months. They are biking from Yorktown, Virginia to San Francisco, California, raising money and awareness for MS. Today, they made their rest stop in Pittsburgh. According to the National MS Society, over 2 million people worldwide have been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis.
Riding through the heat there are people with MS that their biggest challenge in the morning, a good morning for them is getting up and making it to the bathroom without having an accident. And the fact that they are struggling so hard to just do daily activities makes me think, why can't I just climb this mountain? Why can't I just ride through this heat?
For more on how to get involved, just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Nick Kelly joins us with a first look at the weather.
It's been a quiet evening, Bella, and we deserve it, and the cooler day as well after our cold front gave us all the rain and thunderstorms that a lot of us saw last night and a break from the heat. 69 this morning. Nice to see highs back around 82 degrees compared to the 100-degree reading we hit at Joplin Regional the other day. We still have some stubborn cloud cover trying to hold on, but overall we're in a cooler and quieter setup compared to the hot and humid setup that upper ridge now to the south of us kept us under for much of last week. In the meantime, temperatures are in the upper 60s already in our far northern counties. Everybody else, lower 70s for the most part. I do think we'll get some pockets of clearing throughout the overnight hours that will allow us to drop back near 60 to start the morning out. And thankfully, Bella, we're looking great for tomorrow. Partly sunny skies still, but highs near 81. We'll take that. And if anyone missed the forecast earlier, we'll break it down again a little later on to see if we'll hold on to these temperatures for the rest of the week. Coming up in a bit.
The U.S. and its allies leveling another blow at Russia's economy by banning imports of gold. President Biden unveiled those new sanctions today during the G7 summit in Germany in response to Vladimir Putin's relentless and unjustified war in Ukraine. World leaders are huddling together to discuss key issues including inflation, oil prices, and rising threats from China. Fox News White House correspondent Peter Ducey is in Telfs, Austria, near the summit.
President Biden is here in Europe making the case that all the things Putin is doing that are out of the G7's control represent a great opportunity to go green.
The entire world is feeling the impact of Russia's brutal war in Ukraine and on our energy markets. We need worldwide effort to invest in transformative clean energy projects to ensure that critical infrastructure is resilient to changing climate.
This video shows world leaders looking in all different directions, but President Biden insists the whole point of this meeting in Germany is to show Putin that the G7 is together and he is on an island.
Putin has been counting on from the beginning that somehow NATO would and the G7 would splinter, but we haven't, and we're not going to. So can't let this aggression take the form it has and get away with it.
There's been some talk about appealing to the developing world so countries won't do business with China as they grow, but with the U.S. and G7 partners instead. However, the Putin and Ukraine talk is dominating the day, with two Western leaders even making a joke about mimicking Putin shirtless. Here's Canada's Justin Trudeau and the UK's Boris Johnson.
We all have to show them a tough and
Johnson said they were going to show Putin their pecs, but we are confident he was kidding. In Telfs, Austria, Peter Ducey, Fox News.
As Western leaders meet in Europe, Russia is showing off its firepower in a missile barrage across Ukraine. One of the rockets hit the top floor of a 9-story apartment building in the country's capital of Kiev. The attack killed one person and left several more injured. Fox News correspondent Nate Foy is in Lviv.
Well, Russia appears to be emboldened after a tactical withdrawal of Ukrainian troops from Severodonetsk in the Luhansk region of Donbass. Today, for the first time in 3 weeks, the capital of Kyiv has been hit. Russian missiles hit the capital at 5 a.m. this morning. We know one person is dead, at least 5 are injured. A residential building hit, as well as the grounds near a local kindergarten. Take a look at this video. This was just after the missiles hit, again, at 5 a.m. local time. A lot of damage. First responders rushing in to save people trapped in the rubble. According to Vitaly Klitschko, the mayor of Kyiv, that included a 7-year-old girl and her mother. Now, Klitschko thinks that this was meant to intimidate Ukrainians ahead of Tuesday's NATO summit in Madrid. Here's President Volodymyr Zelensky talking about the attacks.
The occupiers were going to capture most of our country on the 5th day, but have to stage such a missile show on the 5th month, which does not change anything strategically for Russia. This is such a phase of war, morally difficult, emotionally difficult.
Russia also promising to send nuclear-capable missiles to Belarus. This comes from a meeting with President Vladimir Putin and Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko. They discussed what they believe to be aggressive policies from Lithuania and Poland specifically. Here's President Putin talking about the deal.
Within the next few months, we will hand over to Belarus the Iskander-M tactical missile systems, which, as you know, can use both ballistic and cruise missiles, both in conventional and nuclear versions.
We also know that President Vladimir Putin will be making his first foreign trip of the war. This week, according to Russian state television, he'll be visiting 2 former Soviet states in Central Asia. Reporting in Lviv, Ukraine, I'm Nate Foy, Fox News.
Next, authorities are investigating the death of a person following an alligator attack. One person is dead after an alligator attack in South Carolina. Police say it happened at a Myrtle Beach yacht club on Friday. Fox News correspondent Phil Keating has the details.
According to an employee Sunday at that Myrtle Beach yacht club and housing community, the victim in this case is a kid under 18 years old. The Horry County Police Department has yet to confirm that, simply saying that the alligator dragged the victim into a nearby pond. The victim has yet to be identified. The South Carolina Department of Natural Resources, along with a contracted alligator trapper, ended up finding it. The 11-footer was then euthanized and removed. There are millions of gators in the U.S., spanning from Texas to Florida up to the Carolinas. Florida has an estimated 1.3 million, with a yearly average of 7 unprovoked attacks, which end up requiring medical treatment. Louisiana has an estimated 2 million gators. Deaths of pets, like dogs, happen a lot more often than the rare human killed by an alligator. About a month ago, a man playing frisbee golf in Largo, Florida, which is north of St. Petersburg, was found dead. Investigators concluded an alligator had lurched out, grabbed him, and killed him. This is why Florida's Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission always recommends people, if they are walking with themselves or other people or their dogs around a pond or a lake or a canal, to try to keep a distance of about 5 feet between you and the edge of the water, because those alligators can lurk. Those tails are powerful, and they can just shoot out of the water to get you if that's what the gator wants to do. In Miami, Phil Keating, Fox News.
Nick has another look at the forecast coming up, plus highlights from the final day of a World Series qualifier tournament in Joplin. Welcome back. Time now for the weather forecast.
We were mighty patient for that cold front to come on through and give us a break from the heat, but once it did, boy, we certainly felt that relief from the heat. We had temperatures pushing 100 the other day, especially at Joplin Regional, but then behind the front, we tanked. thankfully, into the upper 60s this morning and topping out in the lower 80s this afternoon. That's where everybody topped out for a much nicer, calmer, and drier, not so humid Sunday afternoon. Not to mention the front also delivered on some thunderstorm chances. Even at times during the late night, we had a couple guys flirting with severe strength with 60-mile-per-hour winds and penny to quarter size hail. But if you were mainly on the Kansas side and north of Joplin on the Missouri side, you got the bulk of the rainfall with this front. Area-wide average may be about half an inch, but needless to say, underneath those heavier pockets of rain, easily over an inch to even a couple of pockets over 3 inches of rain. So for those of you that really wanted the rain, some of you got it, but we have other chances for rain eventually down the line if you're still thirsty for some rain. In the meantime, though, this is not a bad way to wrap up the evening. Nothing on the radar, even though we're still dealing with some cloud cover up top. Otherwise, temperatures are a lot nicer than the warm evening we had last night. 70 in Joplin, north wind at 7. Dew points in the upper 50s. That is definitely a nicer, drier, more comfy air mass that we can work with. In fact, it's going to allow temperatures to go from the upper 60s to near 70 now, back to near 60 as we go throughout the course of the night. By the way, the numbers right now, about 10 to 18 degrees cooler than where we were at this time last night. We'll definitely take it. Let's broaden the view out on the Skywatch Storm Tracker. Not a lot happening across the entire 4-state region since we're all behind that cold front now, and high pressure is in control to keep temperatures nice. And the sky is quite nice too as we get this new work week underway. Plus it also helps that we're on the nicer side of the jet. That front squashed that upper ridge back to the south. It's trying to rebuild to the west and it might try to come back at us later on down the road. But for now, we are on the cooler side of that jet. And we're definitely going to feel it with the way temperatures want to bottom out as we go throughout the course of the night. I do expect some breaks in the cloud cover during the overnight. That's what will allow us to drop back mainly into the lower 60s. Wouldn't be surprising though if a couple spots snuck back into the upper 50s before sunrise, but we'll deal with just partly to mostly sunny skies for tomorrow. An easterly and northeasterly breeze, making sure temperatures stay just downright nice. 60 in the morning, 77 by noon. Highs are 81 for a late June day. We'll certainly take it. In fact, we'll do it all over again as we go into Tuesday. This time around though, I think mostly clear skies by sunrise Tuesday morning, lows back in the lower 60s. And that same sky will send us back into the mid-80s. Still looking good for your Tuesday afternoon. That's we're on the cooler side of the jet. However, once we get past another day with upper 80s for highs on Wednesday, we'll go back on the warmer side of the jet as this upper ridge tries to build back in. That will at least get us back into the 90s on Thursday and to get the upcoming holiday weekend started. But with that jet stream still nearby, and it does fit with Doug's pattern, I want to keep an eye on some possible rain chances starting Friday and trying to creep up a little bit higher as we head towards Saturday and Sunday. In the meantime, Bella, we'll worry about that down the line. Let's just enjoy the next few days while we can. 81 tomorrow, 84 for Tuesday, and then we'll have to sneak back near 90 by the middle of the week.
Well, I am so thankful for the break from the extreme heat.
I don't think you're alone in that. I think a lot of us will take this break while it's here.
Absolutely. Thanks, Nick. Coming up in sports, the Oklahoma Sooners aim to force a Game 3 against Ole Miss in the College World Series. Plus, Pitcher of the Year honors for Columbus Junior Seth Stover. Jacob Leonard joins us with that and more next.
Today is the final day of the AABC Connie Mack World Series qualifier tournament in Joplin. The Midwest Mustangs have a chance to move on to the championship game this afternoon, facing the Marucci Elite Mayo squad out of Texas. And the Mustangs aiming for a bit of revenge after falling to the same team in pool play earlier this week. At the bottom of the first inning, the guys from Texas get a pair of runs. RBI single here to center. Mustangs go down 2-0 after one. At top of the second, Colt Ungehauer on the mound gets the strikeout for the Mustangs. On the other side, Gavin Jones, dude's a Texas Tech commit. He was a problem all day long. Strikeout there ends the fourth. Then another ends the fifth. He goes 5 2/3 shutout innings, allows just 2 hits. The Mustangs shut out in the tournament semifinals this afternoon, 5-0. A Game 2 of the Men's College World Series today. Oklahoma trying to force a Game 3 against Ole Miss. Cade Horton dealing for the Sooners. Finishes the day with 13 strikeouts. Game was scoreless until the 6th. And in the 6th, Jacob Gonzalez gets Ole Miss on the board. Big swing out to right center for the solo home run. Makes it 1-0. Now in the 8th, it's tied at 2. until the pitch gets by. Justin Bench scores from third to put the Rebels back on top. And they would stay there. Ole Miss claims the national title, topping Oklahoma 4-2. Columbus High School's Seth Stover has been named the Sports in Kansas 3A Pitcher of the Year. The junior right-hander was no doubt one of the best in Kansas this spring. Stover posted a 5-1 record for the Titans, finished with 56 strikeouts in 41 innings pitched, while also putting up a sub-1 ERA. Stover helped the Titans make the state tournament for the first time in program history, where they finished as the 3A state runner-up.
I was sitting on my couch just watching TV, and my mom came in and she's like, "Hey, you know you were a 3A state pitcher of the year?" I was like, "What, really?" I was quite surprised. I didn't think I was up there because I only got second team and all state and all that. It means a lot, honestly. We came short last year, but I think this year we had a great run. We're going to come out big next season. We got big expectations, you know, and going to come out and do the best we can and hopefully go back to it next year.
The St. Louis Cardinals finish up a 3-game series this afternoon against the division rival Chicago Cubs. And the two teams have split the first 2 games after St. Louis took Game 2 last night 5-3. The Cardinals on fire early in this one. 3rd inning, Brendan Donovan goes deep for the solo home run, his 2nd of the season. The next batter is Paul Goldschmidt. You know what he does. This is number 18 on the year for Goldschmidt. Cards hit 3 jacks in the inning. They go up 5-0. Here comes Chicago. In the 4th, Wilson Contreras singles up the middle. 2 score on that. Game tied at 5. We would go to extras. Now in the 10th, Contreras back to work. Slaps one the other way off Zach Thompson. That scores a run to put the Cubs up 1. Then in the bottom half, Cardinals have the tying run on 3rd. But Nolan Arenado goes down swinging. Cubs come back to beat the Cardinals today 6-5 in 10 innings. The Kansas City Royals aim to take their series from the A's today after splitting the first 2. Seth Brown here hammers it down the line, solo homer. Kansas City goes down 2-0. On the 6th, Carlos Santana working opposite field, 2-run single, ties the game up at 2, but Oakland would regain the lead later. 7th inning, Nick Allen with the single. This will bring in 2. A's lead 4-3, and they would add 1 more to take the game and the series 5-3. And that's it for sports. We're back with more news after this.